Gonna try and get a video with Rat Baby in it. She does not like being filmed. She's called Rat Baby because she was the runt of the litter. I got a litter. Well, I didn't get a litter. I got 4 barn cat kittens. I thought that was a great idea. Somebody was advertising barn cat kittens on Facebook, and I saw them. I thought, oh great, I'll get barn cat kittens. And then of course I got them, and they were so cute. I couldn't put them in the barn, so they all had to come into my house. And then by the time they were old enough to go out into the barn, I loved them too much and I couldn't put them out in the barn, so I just gave them to people. And it was a bit of a failed project actually, but that is why we have that. I've also got Asbo. Asbo was never a barn cat. He was just from the Humane Society, and he and Rat Baby are best buddies. And so somebody asked me to make a video, do more of the animals videos, which I totally agree with. And they were saying, do more of the animals videos because animals are so important in recovery, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, I think that, of course, if you like animals, they can give you motivation to recover. They can model very good eating habits. They eat when they're hungry and they eat what they want and all of that. They don't have all of the headspace fuckery that we have around eating. But I also think that, you know, getting a cat is not going to make you recover if you don't want to recover. If you do want to recover, well, what I did when I did decide I was going to recover I went and rescued a cat because I thought, well, I'm going to be sitting at home, not going to the gym 24/7 anymore, and I'm going to be just sitting at home watching Netflix. It wasn't Netflix because it wasn't available then because I'm too old. But, you know, I'm going to be watching box sets and I'm not going to be doing much. So I get a cat to keep me company with all of this being in the house I'm going to be. And so I think it was really, that was definitely really lovely thing for me to do. I got this little kitten. But if getting a cat is not going to make you want to recover if you don't want to recover, that's just not going to happen. I think that if you've decided you're going to recover, you'll get yourself recovered. Kitten or no kitten, I would have got myself recovered. But getting a kitten was just nice, made me happy. You know what? There's a lot to be said for doing things that make you happy. Isn't that right, Rat Baby? That's all Rat Baby does. She just does what she wants all the time. Sorry about the state of my windows. I live on a farm and it's really dusty here, and honestly, that's no excuse. I just don't like housework. I don't know what else to tell you. And so I think that when I had an eating disorder, I didn't care about animals much, but I didn't care about anything much. I didn't have any animals. Isn't that crazy that I didn't have any animals for the duration of my eating disorder? So crazy. Because as a kid, animal crazy. Now, I'm not even going to tell you how many animals I have. It's ludicrous. But when I had an eating disorder, I didn't have any animals because I didn't want I didn't want the bother of having something to look after. I wanted to have the freedom to engage in my eating disorder as much as I could. That was really the crux of it. Last house cat, that's Teddy. So Teddy was completely feral. He was a feral cat in the barn. And then he's not very feral anymore, are you, Ted? So he was completely feral, and then he started following me around. And then he followed me around all the time. He even came into the arenas or the school when I'm riding, and he'd just try and follow the horse around. And so I ended up just bringing him into the house, and he's not very feral anymore. But I'm really lucky because all of my cats get along. So that's Teddy. I think that most people like animals, don't they? I hope so. Never trust anybody really that says they don't like animals. I've always loved animals, as I said before. And when I was a child, I remember getting my first kitten, and I bought this kitten that I called Spike with my birthday money. I must have been 8, maybe. And all I remember thinking was, I thought it was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable that I could buy something as wonderful as a kitten, that I could buy it, and not even for a huge amount of money. I could buy a kitten and then it was just mine. I just owned it. And I thought that was unfathomable. Like, how can something that incredible be, first of all, so cheap? And second of all, like, I can just buy it and own it. It just seemed so strange to me. When I think about it, it still does, that you can just buy a living being and quite cheaply as well. Anyway, so I've always loved animals. When I had an eating disorder, I didn't have any animals. I was just too focused on having an eating disorder. That's all that was important to me. Having an eating disorder really warps your priorities, let's just put it that way. So many parts of my brain and the things I was interested in just sort of shut down, and I became very single track minded. When you've got an eating disorder, you just feel like you've got this really important mission and nothing else is important and nothing else can get in the way. And that's what I did. I just suddenly didn't feel the need to have animals in my life, and I didn't have animals in my life. And then when I decided to recover, I decided to get a kitten. And so one of the first things I did, even before I recovered, when I decided to recover, the first thing I did was bring an animal back into my life, which I guess isn't insignificant. It's snowballed since there. I now have a lot of animals. The 3 cats that are in the house, yeah, and then I've got 2 outdoor dogs, and then we've got about 7 barn cats. The barn cats are a little bit, like, I'm not necessarily, I feed them. That's about as far as it goes. One of them will let me stroke him, but I feed them. It's not like I can take them to the vet or look after them like that, because I can't touch them because they're wild. And then I have a lot of horses. And I look after a lot of horses, like I look after other people's animals. That's what the farm does. And so to say that animals are a part of my life is a little bit of an understatement. The reason that I always look like I've come off a farm is because I have just come off a farm. I don't know what else I would do with my life. I don't know. There is nothing that I can think of that would get me up in the morning and just make me excited about my day-to-day stuff. I couldn't live in a city. I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd just find the thought of it quite upsetting, honestly. I feel like I was made to live on a farm, and I just enjoy the animals. It's like they are my company, and they are my just getting to know them, and just that they're there and I get to share a space with them, I guess, I think is what it is. And it feels like a privilege. I think it is a privilege, and it's one that I'm so thankful has come back to me since recovering. I'm so thankful that I got interested in animals again, because they make me happy on a daily basis. They inspire me a lot. We use animals actually in a lot of therapy aspects now. And one of the things that my farm does is equine assisted psychotherapy, which is just sort of observing, mostly it's observing horses, observing the way that horses interact and the way that they deal with situations, and learning from it, and learning how to be better people, probably, is what it comes down to. But I don't think that it's just the horses that can act as a therapy. I think that getting people out in nature, so I think that a lot of it is just getting people to the farm, and then they're out in nature and they're out of the city, and it just has this calming effect on people, and can really help. And I think that just getting out in nature and being out in nature is something that is very good for people's mental health. Again, I do not think that getting someone out in nature, if you've got somebody who does not want to recover from an eating disorder, send them to an equine assisted psychotherapy place is not going to make them want to recover. But I do think that nature, animals can maybe hopefully spark something in us that can get us more interested in recovery. Sometimes that's the case. Mostly, I think that when a person is interested in recovery, that's when those things can actually just really help them nail it, and they can really help them get through any anxiety that they may be experiencing due to recovery and all of that stuff. So yeah, I will try and feature animals more often.